Welcome to another edition of Dave, our online talk show. And this edition, we decided to take you behind the scenes of the Dave Koz radio show. 2014 marks the 20th anniversary of this wonderful opportunity to host a weekly weekend radio show. It started out in 1994. Originally, it was called Personal Notes. And then a couple years later, it morphed into what we now know as the Dave Koz radio show. And it's been on the air uninterrupted for 20 years this year. So we are celebrating, and we thought we would take you inside the studio to see how we put the show together. And this is my home studio. It's very relaxing here, and we get a chance to do the show here. And sometimes guests come in, sometimes we have them on the phone or patched in via ISDN line. And over the years, we've had everybody on the show. Legends, people like David Sanborn, we've had Elton John, we've had the John Legend, we've had all the incredible artists that you hear in the world of smooth jazz, whether it's Jeff Lorber or David Sanborn or David Benoit or Rick Braun or Peter White. And we've also had new artists on the show many times. And I just love being a cheerleader, a proponent for the great musicians and the artists that are in this format. So I want to say thank you very much for listening to the show. It's because of you that we're still on 20 years later. And I hear from people from all over the world, actually, in Asia and Africa and Europe where the show is played, and also across the United States. People write in and say they're listening. And I just want to say thank you very, very much for keeping on listening and giving us this opportunity to keep the show coming to you every weekend. So here's a little behind the scenes of how we do the Dave Koz radio show. Go. Hey, and welcome to a very special edition of the Dave Koz radio show. I am your host, Dave, and for this go-around, we are spotlighting an artist who truly changed the musical landscape forever. A man who has influenced everyone from the likes of Prince and Sting and Luther Vandross to Luciano Pavarotti, and even President Barack Obama has been influenced greatly by this guy. In our ongoing series saluting the masters of music, this week we pay tribute to the incomparable, the one, the only, Stevie Wonder. We'll go inside Stevie's wonderful world, from his philanthropic ventures to his early career. And because he's Stevie Wonder, you always have to make sure there's a keyboard readily available, because you never know what might inspire him. And boy, I think on this show, it's going to pay off. In between some of Mr. Wonderful's best music, I've also got tracks coming from Adele, The Police, Brian Culbertson, Santana, and much more for your weekend. All you got to do is just sit back and relax. This special Masters edition of the Dave Koz radio show starts now with saxophonist Huge Groove and his big #1 hit, House of Groove. I want to do a couple little other bits. Yeah. Well, it's time for me to get on out of here. The last 2 hours have been absolutely incredibly enjoyable for me, and I hope for you as well. Big, huge thank you to Mr. Stevie Wonder as we close out this very special edition of the Dave Koz radio show. Stevie Wonder still has so much more to go in his career. In fact, in many ways, I think he's just beginning. Next week right here, we welcome back to the studio's trumpeter extraordinaire, Rick Braun. He's got a new CD to share with us, and I hope you will be here around to check it out and enjoy it as much as... Let me start this over again one more time. Well, it's time for me to wrap up this edition of the Dave Koz radio show, a very special edition. My heart and my extreme gratitude going out to... I'm sorry. Well, it's time for me to get on out of here for this special edition of the Dave Koz radio show. This one is tough to say goodbye to. I had such a great time interviewing and playing with Mr. Stevie Wonder, truly one of the great masters of music. Stevie Wonder, thank you so much for making this a truly special edition. My heartfelt thanks. Now, next week right here, trumpeter Rick Braun pays a return visit to the studios. He's got a brand new CD to share, and I hope you'll be around for that, because he's always a lot of fun. Until then, this is your buddy Dave Koz, wrapping up this edition of the Dave Koz radio show. Have a great week, and see you next weekend. And that's how it's done. Dave. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's how it's done. Dave.